Hello, my name is Pat Riesenberger. Welcome to my studio. Today we're going to learn how to make a Nuno felted shawl. Nuno felting is a wonderfully fun craft. It's easy to learn. You'll become an expert in no time. It's very versatile, very organic, and there's not a whole lot of structure. If you're a left brain personality type, you're going to need to loosen up because you kind of play as you go, learn as you go. The shawl that we're going to be working on today is a multi-layered shawl, and you're going to have a lot of opportunity to decide the manner in which you would like to complete it. For example, the shawl that I have featured here has a number of layers with unfinished edges. The fact that the edges are unfinished makes for a lighter looking, airier shawl, very fluffy, very airy-fairy. It's very beautiful, but because the edges are unfinished, you might occasionally have a piece of silk thread that you need to pull to unravel, pull off your piece. If you need a more finished look, because you don't want to deal with those stray threads, then you might prefer to have your layers feature finished edges. And by finished, you have two options. You can actually hand sew each edge, which will take you forever, and I wouldn't recommend it. Or you can use the wool, the felting wool top, to go ahead and finish your edges for you. That's typically what I prefer to do, and it's what I've done in the sample that we're going to be working on today. We accidentally edited over the first part of the video where we were showing you how to shingle your fiber. So we're going to try to do that again right now. Your fiber is going to come in a very long piece. You don't want to work with a piece that long, especially when you're working around water, because it'll get wet and then it'll just become a mess and you won't ever want to use it again. So what I like to do is pull some pieces apart to work in manageable units. It's very easy to pull apart if you separate your hands far apart. If you don't, if you try to pull close together, you'll never separate those fibers. So again, very loosely pull and you'll get small pieces. Okay, what we're going to do now is called shingling. And I'm going to separate my fiber into the width that I want to work with. And this width, about an inch, inch and a half, is what's going to work well for me. So now I'm going to come to the edge of my fabric, lay down the fiber, support it with my fingers, and gently pull back. This is called shingling. And by laying the fiber right along the edge of the fabric, I'm going to be creating a nice seamed edge for my piece. I won't have any unraveling silk. Support it with your hand and gently pull several inches away. There will be a natural break in the fiber and it will easily go on your edges. The reason that we're going on our edges is because we want that nice finished look so we don't have any random silk fabric getting in our way. I'm going to lay the wool top right on the very edge of the entire perimeter of my surface. Now you'll notice if you're looking at your pattern, you have several different layers, not just one. It's easier for me to make all of my layers at once and then cut them with a scissor to separate them for purposes of our shawl. It's just easier and causes me less work, and if it causes me less work, then that's what I want to do. Once I have the entire perimeter covered, I'm going to create my separate seams, and by doing that, what I want to do is go back to the edge, and I'm going to lay two more slightly thicker lines because I'm going to cut these, remember, and so I want to have it a little bit thicker than my edge seam all the way down to the edge. When I've done that one and finished it to completion, I'm going to come back and do one more, and you can see that I'm creating three separate ribbons ultimately of fabric. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, I've got my fibers properly laid out on the silk. They're all going in the same direction, overlapping very slightly, so I've got no bald spots. The two rows in the middle are slightly thicker because we're going to be cutting those in half. I'd like to draw your attention to one little problem area. that I wanted to demonstrate because most of you will probably face it from time to time. Our work surface is too short for our piece, so it's overlapping. No sweat. This is easy. We deal with it, but it is something we're going to have to deal with, and we'll deal with it in just a few minutes. I wanted to bring it to your attention though. All right, our next step is to take a piece of tulle fabric and lay it carefully over our piece. And what this fabric does is it's going to imprison our fibers so that they don't migrate all over the place and felt into the fabric at a spot where we don't want them to felt. This is very easy. And the tulle is very inexpensive. It's available from any of your local big box craft stores typically. All right, now we're going to wet down our fibers with some soapy water. Most serious felters prefer to use a pure olive oil soap, although you can use something like a Palmolive kitchen soap if that's what you've got available. It'll just be much messier and much soapier. I prefer to make my own soap, or actually soap flakes from olive oil that we have in the shop. It's packaged in a little bag, and I pour some flakes into a container. And then I'm going to add some very, very hot water to the container, and it's going to make a great soap solution for me to use with my project. Now generally it takes a couple hours for the soap flakes to dissolve, and I have to shake them or stir them to get them to do so. So we're going to go ahead and use some mixture that I've already prepared. But just to show you what I'm talking about, this jar here, which is the color, has a liquid the color of pea soup, contains some highly concentrated soap flake mixture. When I'm working, I prefer to use a much more highly diluted mixture, which is becomes the color of soapy dishwater, I guess. And that's what we're going to pour over our fabric right now. I'm going to pour my soapy water solution onto my work surface, my fabric. I simply use an old glass jar that I poked some nail holes in the top so that I can pour the water out and have some control over it. You can use any kind of a plastic Gatorade bottle, water bottle. I even use a bottle with a pour spout. And on big projects, I'll actually use the sprayer pump that you get from a home supply store like Home Depot. So that I can spray a very large surface with minimal effort. But for a project as small as the one we're working on today, a little bottle like this is totally sufficient. Okay? So my goal here is to get my surface nice and wet. And now I'm going to gently pat down the fibers and make sure that the water has migrated through. Okay,